Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to go through the process of making these two cards. The inside of this card opens out to reveal something a little bit different. I've selected some white card bases and just an assortment of things that I think I might use. There's some Finnabair lace and some bling, a doily that I got from the op shop, some chipboard cut aparts that I think they're Kaiser brand, I'm not sure. There's some resin shapes that I made myself, and there's some Kaiser craft paper. The paper range is called Curiosity. Here I'm just selecting a few papers that I think I might use on this card. I've decided to go with a square card today, and I'm using a 5 1/4 inch card base. I'm cutting my pattern papers. The first layer will be 5 inches square, and each layer will decrease by 1/4 inch as I work my way up to the top of the card. I create 3 layers in this fashion. Then I decide to put a small, shorter layer through the middle of the card, and I use another paper from the pad and cut it so that it covers about half of the top layer. I then use my Prima distressing tool and distress all of the edges of all of the papers that I've cut. I also ink the edges of all of the papers. This will give my card a vintage look and feel, and the inking actually helps the layers stand out from each other. Once I've completed all that, I start to attach the layers of paper to each other. I use foam tape to attach the various layers, and some are flat. I have used foam tape and glue to attach some lace to the strip of paper that goes through the middle of the card, and now I'm just auditioning a few pieces that I'm thinking might look okay on this card. I've chosen this piece of chipboard. It's quite thick and glossy, and because it is, I've decided to use my hot glue gun to attach it. And also the resin heart that I'm going to use in the middle of this will also need to be attached with my hot glue gun, just to make sure that they stay in place. Now I'm going to attach my card front panel to my actual card. To do this, I'm going to use hot glue gun once again because of the weight that's involved. Always check that you've got your card opening the right way before you attach your panel. For my greeting, I went to my computer and printed out a page of assorted happy birthdays in different fonts and sizes, because I knew I wanted something fairly small to fit on this card. And I'm going to mat that on a piece of the same cardstock that I used in the background the very first layer on my card. I was going to make it smaller, and then I had a change of heart and went for a wider one. So here I am, just marking how wide and how deep I want to make this piece of cardstock, and then I will attach my greeting and then attach that to the card flat. I distressed and inked these pieces as well. So that completes that card. Here's some close-ups for you. For the second card, I'm using the same size card base, and I'm using the same pattern papers, which is the Kaisercraft Curiosity. I'm going to just flick through here and pick out a few papers that I think I might use. I'm going to need quite a few papers for this one, because I also want to do some work on the inside of the card. Once I've chosen my papers, I trim the one that I want to use on the base of the front of the card down to 5 inches by 5 inches, which is going to fit onto my 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 inch card. I then cut 3 pieces of white cardstock that are 1 1/2 inches by 4 3/4 inches, and then I cut 3 pieces of pattern paper that are 1 1/4 inches by 4 1/2 inches. The pattern paper will be matted on top of the white cardstock to go onto the front of the card. I now choose another pattern paper to put a cross panel across my card. I cut this new piece of pattern paper to 1 1/2 inches by 4 3/4 inches, and then I cut a piece of white cardstock that is 1/4 inch bigger in each direction to mat this piece on. So I'm going to put this sideways across the front of my card. Using my Big Shot and my Magnolia die, edge die, I've cut this piece of white cardstock to go under the panel that goes horizontally across my card. I'm going to use this tag that I got out of the paper pad to decorate the front of the card. Now that I have all the pieces cut to the correct sizes and I have a plan of where everything's going to be going, I ink all of the edges of all of the papers and all of the plain cardstock. I also make a white mat for the tag that I'm going to add to the front of the card. Now that all the pieces are prepped and ready to go, I start attaching them to the card. The base piece is attached using double-sided tape and sits flat on the card base. The 3 vertical panels are attached using foam tape. The rusty coloured horizontal piece first has the die-cut lacy trim attached to it using glue, and then it is attached to the card using double-sided tape. I use my crocodile and attach a gold eyelet to the little tag that I took out of the paper pad, and then I thread some green ribbon through the eyelet and use foam tape to attach the little tag to the front of the card. I've now trimmed down 2 pattern papers the same, down to 5 inches by 5 inches. I'm going to ink around the edge of these and attach them to the inside of my card. Before I attach the paper, I'm going to attach 2 pieces of ribbon so that I'll be able to tie this card closed, because it's going to have a bit of dimension and won't close properly on its own. I've cut a piece of white cardstock that is 1 inch by 10 3/4 inches, and I have folded it in halves. Then I have folded each edge back to the centre fold to make 4 sections, that is 3 folds. I apologise for being out of frame here, but you will be able to see when I bring the strip of paper back to the card exactly what I've done with it. I inked the edges of this strip and attached double-sided tape to the 2 outside edges up to the fold. I've cut 4 pieces of white cardstock 1.5 inches square and 4 pieces of pattern paper 1.25 inches square. I've inked the edge of these papers and attached the pattern paper on top of the white cardstock. Using double-sided tape, I then attach these little squares to the strip of white cardstock that we prepared earlier with all the folds. Using one of the happy birthday greetings that I printed out at the same time I printed out one for the previous card, I ink around the edge of that and attach it to the square that's on the right hand edge of the strip. The cardstock strip is then attached to the inside of the card so that it lines up level with the edge of the pattern paper on both the right hand side and the left hand side. And that finishes this particular card. There'll be some close-ups coming. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please subscribe to my channel, and if you click on the bell next to the subscription button, you'll be notified each time I post. Thank you for watching.